Here are today's top stories. Senator Antonio Trillanes may not be off the hook yet, as the Solicitor General plans to ask the Court of Appeals to reverse the junking of the petition for his arrest. Efforts to modernize the country's military are now paying off, as the Philippine Navy is now recognized as an active game player in global maritime security. The government's continued efforts to improve the business environment to make the Philippines a more competitive investment destination is steadily becoming a reality. And in our Salam section, basketball becomes an instrument of peace and camaraderie for Muslims and Lumads in Zamboanga City. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Senator Antonio Trillanes is seemingly not off the hook yet, as the Office of the Solicitor General plans to ask the Court of Appeals to reverse the junking of the petition for his arrest. Solicitor General Jose Calida will appeal the decision of the Makati Regional Trial Court Branch 148 rather than filing a motion for reconsideration. Judge Andres Soriano yesterday dismissed the petition of the Department of Justice to issue an arrest warrant for Trillanes related to his coup d'etat case. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says despite the court affirming that Trillanes applied for amnesty, he did not comply with its requirements. Meanwhile, Panelo says the court's decision to uphold Proclamation number 572, which nullifies Trillanes' amnesty, proves that the lawmaker cannot rejoice just yet. Malacanang said it respects the decision of the Makati Regional Trial Court on the coup d'etat case against former Navy officer and Senator Antonio Trillanes. The Department of Justice, meanwhile, says it is up to the Supreme Court to decide on the lawmaker's case. Here is our report.
Malacanang is respecting the decision of the Makati Regional Trial Court after it affirmed the validity of Proclamation 572, which voided the amnesty given Senator Antonio Trillanes. The palace says it also respects the court's move to deny the petition of the Justice Department for a warrant of arrest over Trillanes' coup d'etat case. Presidential spokesman Salvador Panelo says the administration only means to enforce the law and is not engaged in political persecution. Panelo reiterates Malacanang respects the constitutional independence of the judiciary and it will continue to do so rather than appeal to the pity of the public for support. Meanwhile, Justice Secretary Bernardo Guevara on Monday said the fate of the case against Trillanes will be up to the Supreme Court. This, as the DOJ chief notes, the findings of Makati RTC branches 148 and 150, which are hearing Trillanes' case, are conflicting. Pending before the SC is the petition by Trillanes challenging the order of President Rodrigo Duterte, which voided the senator's amnesty grant. He said, while the DOJ proved its contention that Proclamation number 572 is valid and constitutional, Trillanes believes the ruling was in his favor because of the factual findings of the court. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Efforts to modernize the country's military is paying off, as the Philippine Navy is now recognized as an active game player in the field of global maritime security. Navy Flag Officer in Command Vice Admiral Robert Empedrad made the remark with the return of the BRP Tarlac from her recent tour. Empedrad says BRP Tarlac's visit to Russia and South Korea is a milestone for the Philippine Navy. BRP Tarlac began the tour along with 300 sailors, Marines, and reservists of Naval Task Force 87 on September 21st. She visited Vladivostok, Russia from October 1 to 6, the first time a Philippine warship came to Russia. She then joined the Western Pacific Naval Symposium in Jeju, South Korea from October 12 to 16. Navy spokesman Commander Jonathan Zata says Empedrad announced in Jeju that the Philippines will host the Western Pacific Naval Symposium in 2020. The National Capital Region Police Office prepares for this year's celebration of All Saints and All Souls Day. And Grab Philippines announces lower surge rates this holiday season. More on these in our Metro News Roundup.
The National Capital Region Police Office is deploying over 3,000 police officers to ensure the peaceful and orderly commemoration of the All Saints and All Souls Days. NCRPO Chief Guillermo Eleazar said under the Ligtas Undas 2018, policemen would be assigned to their posts as early as October 31. The NCRPO is also closely coordinating with the Armed Forces of the Philippines, local government units, and other concerned agencies. In Metro Manila alone, there are around 80 cemeteries and 30 columbaria, the biggest of which is the Manila North Cemetery. In other news, Secretary Rolando Joselito Bautista officially assumed his post at the Department of Social Welfare and Development during the leadership turnover ceremony in Batasan Hills, Quezon City. Bautista received the DSWD flag from Acting Secretary Virginia Orogo, symbolizing the responsibilities of the new secretary. He cited the importance of unity and teamwork in providing efficient service to the people. Bautista was officially appointed as the new head of the DSWD effective October 17. Meanwhile, ride-sharing firm Gov't Philippines is set to lower the surge rate on its fares amid increasing demand for rides for the holidays. Gov't Philippines country head Brian Koo said the company will be implementing a surge cap for as low as 1.4 times the fare rate so riders can plan out their trips during the Christmas season. Koo said the company will also continue to provide promos to its riders, while performance-based incentives will be given to drivers. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Ben Shbondo.
Still to come, the world is taking notice as the Philippines develops into a competitive investment destination. And police beef up security for the upcoming Mascara Festival in Bacolod City. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ulat sa ginagawa ng presidente. October 11, Huwebes, Bali, Indonesia. Nakilahok si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa ASEAN Leaders Gathering kung saan napag-usapan ang iba't ibang isyu sa rehiyon.
Today I say ASEAN should be bold enough to invest in ourselves. A stronger ASEAN is the key to unlocking the potentials of the ASEAN economic community.
Pinalakas naman ang pakikipag-ugnayan ng Pilipinas sa Vietnam na makipag-bilateral meeting si Pangulong Duterte kay Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc. October 12, Biyernes, Davao City. Inilahad ng Pangulo ang mga napag-usapan sa ASEAN Leaders Gathering na ginanap sa Bali, Indonesia.
I stress the importance of a stronger ASEAN in order to sustain the efforts towards greater peace, progress, and prosperity in Southeast Asia and its peoples. At the end of the meeting, the Philippines remains committed to work closely with ASEAN and key global institutions to ensure a peaceful, secure, and stable environment that promotes the greater common good.
October 15, Lunes, Taguig City. Dumalo ang Commander-in-Chief sa 59th Change of Command ng Philippine Army at retirement ceremony para kay Lieutenant General Rolando Joselito Bautista. October 17, Miyerkules, Malacanang. Magkaiwalay na pinanumpa ng Pangulo ang bagong talagang Foreign Affairs Secretary na si Teodoro Locsin Jr. at retired Lieutenant General Rolando Joselito Bautista para naman sa Department of Social Welfare and Development. Nag-courtesy call sa Pangulo si Japan Liberal Democratic Party Special Advisor for Foreign Affairs to the President Katsuyuki Kawai at United Arab Emirates Chief of Federal Authority for Identity and Citizenship Ali Mohammed Al-Shamsi. Pinirmahan ni Pangulong Duterte ang service contract na kapartner ang Israeli firm na Ratio Petroleum Limited para sa isang oil exploration deal sa East Palawan Basin. Guest of honor siya sa 103rd anniversary ng cooperative movements in the Philippines. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar. At ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Now that the filing of certificates of candidacy are over, Senator Coco Pimentel is in danger of getting kicked out of next year's senatorial race due to a technicality. Lawyer Ferdinand Topacio filed before the COMELEC a disqualification case against Pimentel, claiming that he is ineligible to run. Topacio says Pimentel has completed his 2 consecutive terms, making him ineligible to run yet another term under the Constitution. Pimentel contested Juan Miguel Zubiri's victory in the 2007 elections after he was outnumbered in the 12th spot. He won the petition in 2011 and served the remaining 2 years of Zubiri's term, after which he was then re-elected in 2013. Pimentel says he can still run for senator because he did not serve a full first term. The world is taking notice as the Philippines develops into a competitive investment destination thanks to the reforms implemented by the government. More on this from Miguel Hill.
The government's continued effort to improve the business environment and make the Philippines a more competitive investment destination is steadily becoming a reality. This as the country made a 12-notch jump in the 2018 Global Competitiveness Report of the World Economic Forum. The Department of Trade and Industry notes that the country's ranking improved in the latest competitiveness index to rank 56 from number 68 last year. On the other hand, the country's distance to frontier score for the 2018 GCR is at 62.1 from last year's 59.8 score. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez says the improved ratings in competitiveness is brought about by the reforms of the Duterte administration. He says they are sure of more improvements with the enactment of the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Act, as well as efforts to promote government technology. Aside from the World Economic Forum GCR, the country also monitors its ranking in the Doing Business report by the World Bank, which is expected to be released in the next few weeks. Although the passage of the EODB law will not be counted in this year's report, the DTI is optimistic that this legislation will lift the country's ranking in next year's report. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The country's first environment-friendly international airport will be inaugurated by November this year. The Panglao International Airport in Bohol, also known as the New Bohol International Airport, features green and sustainable structures, solar panels, and motion sensor lighting, among others. The Panglao Airport aims to cater to the growing number of tourists who visit Bohol Province. Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines spokesperson Eric Apolonio says that once completed, the Panglao International Airport will replace the Tagbilaran Airport as the province's commercial airline facility. In an effort to maintain peace and order, over 3,000 security personnel will be deployed during the highlights of the 39th Mascara Festival in Bacolod City on October 26 to 28. Senior Superintendent Francisco Ebreo, Acting Director of Bacolod City Police Office, said security plans will be similar to the upcoming elections next year. He said international guests, particularly the contingents from the International Mask Arts and Culture Organization, will arrive for the highlights. A gun ban will also be enforced in Bacolod until the end of the festival as part of security measures. He added that mobile phone signals will be shut down from October 26 to 28 in all festival sites. The highlights of the 2018 Mascara Festival will feature the Electric Mascara Performing Floats competition on October 26 and 27 and the Street and Arena Dance Competition School category on October 27. Persons deprived of liberty in Davao City celebrate National Correctional Consciousness Week, and inmates in Iloilo showcase their handicrafts in a livelihood bazaar. More on these stories from our Provincial News Roundup.
The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology Region 11 celebrates the 24th National Correctional Consciousness Week. Various activities are lined up at the Davao City Jail for persons deprived of liberty, or PDLs, particularly those coping with depression. There are also special programs that guide inmates as they reform and prepare for their release. the National Correctional Consciousness Week runs until October 28. A 5-day livelihood bazaar at the Iloilo City Hall of Justice features products made by the PDLs. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology in Western Visayas led the opening of the bazaar. The proceeds of the bazaar will be directly given back to the PDLs who have contributed their products. Most of these products from the PDLs are special handmade wallets, bags, and furniture. There are more than 20 jail units participating in the bazaar, which is also made possible by TESDA, which provides on-site skills training to the PDLs. About 3,000 individuals will receive 5,000 pesos each in scholarship funds from the Antique provincial government. The scholars from the southern part of the province will receive their scholarship fund during the program at the Binirayan Gymnasium in San Jose, Buena Vista. The Antique provincial government has appropriated some 30 million pesos for the scholarship program this year. The province has 6,500 scholars this school year. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Up next, a new study gives older people more reason to go online, and basketball becomes an instrument of peace and camaraderie in Zamboanga City. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol said prices of commercial rice have declined by as much as 5 pesos per kilo and are likely to drop further. President Rodrigo Duterte and Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi signed an oil exploration deal with Israeli firm Ratio Petroleum aimed at boosting the Philippines' energy resource development. President Rodrigo Duterte expressed support for the initiatives of the Silk Road Chamber of International Commerce, which seeks to promote trade and economic development in the region. After more than 5 months of closure for rehabilitation, Boracay Island on Monday partially reopened to local tourists. Workers in Region 10 will get an increase in minimum wage ranging from 27 to 35 pesos effective November. The filing of candidacy for the 2019 polls ended on Wednesday, with 152 individuals running for senator and 185 party list groups eyeing a House seat. Malacanang paid tribute to soldiers who sacrificed their lives in retaking Marawi City from the clutches of Maute terrorists. President Rodrigo Duterte is set to announce his decision on the temporary suspension of the scheduled oil excise tax hike for 2019. The minimum fare in public utility jeepneys and buses is set to increase at 2 pesos and 1 peso respectively after it was approved by the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board.
In health news, here's a good reason for older people to engage in social media. A study reports that using social media can reduce the negative effects of curtailed social contact among seniors who are experiencing pain. Researchers from the University of Michigan surveyed more than 3,400 Medicare beneficiaries aged 65 and older in 2011. The findings showed older adults who experience pain refrain from participating in face-to-face social activities. Still, social media seemingly preserves their cognitive function and psychological well-being, thus preventing the onset of depression. The results may possibly be extended to other forms of conditions such as chronic illnesses that also restrict physical activity outside the home. Over in the Middle East, Saudi Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir has called the killings of journalist Jamal Khashoggi a huge and grave mistake. Al-Jubeir called the killing of Khashoggi a rogue operation and maintained that certain individuals exceeded their authority and made the mistake of killing Khashoggi and tried to cover up the incident. The Saudi public prosecution announced the death of the journalist as Western countries pressured the kingdom to explain his disappearance. Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had called Khashoggi's family to extend their condolences. The Saudi government maintains that the prince had nothing to do with the incident. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that he would make a statement about the murdered journalist at the parliament. In sports, Chris Banchero takes the title of Player of the Week as he catapults the Alaska Aces to an outright spot in the PBA Governor's Cup quarterfinals. Banchero showed that he is now the Aces' emerging court general after dishing out 11 assists, 10 points and 7 rebounds against the Colombian Deep on Wednesday. On Sunday, he exploded for 28 points in Alaska's huge victory over Blackwater. Now at 7 wins and 2 losses, the Aces can secure a twice-to-beat advantage in the next round this week as they face the NLEX Road Warriors and the Northport Batangas pair. Amid the violence and crime that was once characteristic of Mindanao, people of different faiths and races find ways to foster peace. In Zamboanga City, Muslims and Lumads bridge their gaps and become united through sports. Here is our report. The mostly marginal social and economic condition of their communities make Muslim and Lumad boys prone to violent behavior and vulnerable to illegal drugs. Amid this adversity, basketball comes to the rescue. Haji Nasir Ismula, one of Zamboanga City's tribal leaders, manages a basketball tournament among youth belonging to a local tribal community in the city. Through the Zamboanga City Indigenous Peoples Sports Association formed last July, Ismula found benefactors who poured their support to the basketball project. From the monetary and other material support, the association was able to form 12 teams. The tournament action kicked off on the first week of September. The playing venue is moved from one barangay to another and in basketball courts of the community schools. Ismula said he organized a sports association to help keep Muslim and indigenous youths away from drugs and criminal activities. This is also to promote goodwill and camaraderie. Ismula said he hopes to produce top-caliber players who can excel nationally. Aside from setting up more divisions for the next tournaments, he said there is also a plan to go into volleyball, including women's volleyball. Ismula said the players are enthusiastic together with their respective communities, and there has been no incidents of violence in any of the games. That's certainly a three-point shot for Ismula and his project. Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. Senator Antonio Trillanes may not be off the hook yet, as the Solicitor General plans to ask the Court of Appeals to reverse the junking of the petition for his arrest. Efforts to modernize the country's military are now paying off, as the Philippine Navy is now recognized as an active game player in global maritime security. The government's continued efforts to improve the business environment to make the Philippines a more competitive investment destination is steadily becoming a reality. And in our Salam section, basketball becomes an instrument of peace and camaraderie for Muslims and Lumads in Zamboanga City. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And since today is the founding anniversary of the Climate Change Commission, let's all do our personal share in the management of solid waste. Remember, just a little goes a long, long way. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.